What's up, Big J? Big J. Good to see you, man. I'm surprised you're still hanging around. Hopefully you're like me and you're looking for, I don't know, just a little therapy. I had to get on. I had to get on and talk about what happened tonight because I got to change my score here and finish this one off because, I mean, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Not just what happened tonight, but what happens to us Bills fans. I'm telling you, it is way more than other teams, fans of other teams. I cannot even believe how often this emotion that I have here, I have had on multiple occasions. It's crazy. Just like you, it was like, we're going to win this game. We are going to win this game. When it was 17-7 at halftime, I'm like, we're going to win this game. And then when it was 24-14, even after the Eagles scored, we went right back down the field. We scored. It's 24-14. I said, heading into the fourth quarter, the only way the Eagles can come back and take this game in regulation was if they were able to stop Buffalo and, of course, score 11 points or more. But I was like, we have a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. It's just not going to happen. Even I, as a Bills fan that is salty with horrible memories of letdowns and losses, I was still like, we're going to win this game when we were leading by 10 points in the fourth quarter because the Eagles couldn't stop our offense. And for the most part, the Eagles were having trouble moving the ball, even though they scored to make it 17-14. I said the one thing that could hurt the Bills in the fourth quarter was a turnover. The Eagles needed a turnover, and that's what they got. And how I didn't know. What? Seconds after I said it. And how I didn't know that was coming is beyond me. I'm like, how long is it going to take for this Bills fan who's now in his 50s to realize that is what's going to happen? So that's what I'm popping on the stream here for briefly, is just to kind of go over this game a little bit and then talk about a bigger, broader subject, which is what's behind me. Buffalo sports is cursed. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm going to go through like the history of this city and their sports teams. I don't know how old you guys are, but I remember all the way back to the 80s. The early 80s. And the very first few memories of the Bills for me were huge letdowns. And listen, all fan bases have letdowns. I get it. It's part of the deal it's the deal with the devil. It's the handshake with the devil that all us sports fans have. When you're following a team, you're going to have letdowns. You're going to have plenty of them. But along with the letdowns, you should get about 50% great moments. I am on a mission this week. Probably one of my last videos that I'm going to put together will be compiling all of the great moments, great wins, those wins like we could have, should have had tonight, as opposed to how many letdowns we have had as a city, both Sabres and Bills. Spears asked, did you see the refs? And I don't know if you mean, did I see how bad they were? I did see how bad they were. The NFL needs new refs, is what you said. They need a different approach to how they call the games. The NFL needs to tell these referees, just let these boys play. Now, Buffalo got burned by a lot in the first half. One particular sequence looked like it was going to really cost the Bills, but thankfully the Bills were able to get a turnover and then eventually score a touchdown. So it kind of put that sequence in the rearview mirror, and that's what I'm talking about is when Josh Allen got hauled down by a horse collar, threw the ball at Gabe Davis's feet, and then got called for intentional grounding, which forced us to kick a field goal, which was blocked. That whole sequence was pretty horrible by the referees. But then we got the ball back. We scored a touchdown, so kind of like washed that out a little bit. But yeah, but the referees overall throughout the league have just been maddening. I joke, but I kind of am serious. Just leave the flags on the field. Just leave them out there. And then after every play, just go to a flag and say, we're going to call this on this play. It gets absolutely ridiculous. Now, it's a very easy go-to to say that the referees cheated us. I disagree. Especially in the second half, the referees made two great false start calls on Jason Kelsey, the center for the Eagles. He barely moved. But it was definitely a false start. But they caught it 2 times in a row. And I was impressed that the referees caught it, called it, and it really could have and should have been the end of the Eagles in regulation. But of course, they have to hit a 59-yard field goal, right? That has to happen against the Bills. They have to hit a 59-yard field goal in the wet weather, on the wet turf. Really? The dude probably makes that 2 out of 10 times, right? And of course, he has to make it there. That goes to what I'm saying. This team here, this organization, this city, when it comes to the Sabres and the Bills, I'm not talking Buffalo Bandits lacrosse. I couldn't care less about the Buffalo Bisons. Maybe they've won something in minor league baseball. I don't know, and I don't care. The only thing really anybody in Buffalo cares about is the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo Sabres. Cook dropping that TD was bad. Yes. And that's, you could point to that as, maybe the difference right there. I don't know. But we played a good Eagles team, and they adjusted nicely in the second half. But I'm going to get to something here in a second that I think really, when I'm going to make a take here in about 2 minutes that I think you guys are going to agree with when it comes to this particular Bills team, roster, and regime. But we are sitting here after another gut-wrenching loss where the Bills had it won for the most part. Taking nothing away from the Eagles, it's not like the referees made a bad call and set up the Eagles, My sidekick here says that the Bills they had 500 yards and still lost. So we'll go over that game here in a second. The amazing performance by Josh Allen. The fantastic performance for the most part by multiple players on offense, including Gabe Davis, despite the fact that it was obvious that he went the wrong way on that pass in overtime that really should have won it. When I saw that ball released, I was like, Gabe Davis has it, only to realize that he went the wrong way. Gabe Davis, 6 catches, 105 yards, and a touchdown. Should have been 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. Stephon Diggs, 6 catches, 74 yards, touchdown. The team balled out tonight. They played great football on the offensive side of the ball and played really good defense on the defensive side of the ball. Held the Eagles to 7 points in the first half. The Eagles looked like they couldn't do a thing. But we'll get to the game in a second. I'm going to start with and end with the fact that I'm okay. I'm actually feeling okay about what happened tonight. And here's why. Leading into this season, I had said that I'm not really getting too up for this team this season or putting much emotion into it at all. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to have fun because I know that eventually this is what's going to happen. Eventually, we're going to have our hearts stomped on the floor, man. It's going to eventually just come crashing down. And it's like that because it's the Buffalo way, man. It's the Buffalo way. I had a semi-argument with a family member on the phone right after the game. He's like, what do you think? I'm like, I don't even care anymore. Because this team, the city is cursed. He's like, we're not cursed. It's just, you can say that, but one of these days the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl, and I'll have to laugh at you for getting excited over it because you're saying. And I'm like, dude, the Bills, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to say it out loud, and a lot of you will probably be annoyed with me, drop off the stream, whatever. I'm just going to say it. The Bills are never going to win the Super Bowl. They are never going to win it. They are never going to win it. I know it's just like, well, you don't know. Well, I kind of do. They're never going to win. The Sabres are never going to win the Stanley Cup. The Bills are never going to win the Super Bowl. And this is not coming from frustration over this game. This has been building for me over the last 2 decades. Having seen what has happened over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, the most ridiculous plays in NFL history. I said it, and I started this channel in a new direction at the end of last season when Damar Hamlin had a heart attack and almost died in the biggest game of the season up to that point. A game where we were playing for the number 1 seed when we had a player on our team almost die of a heart attack, causing the game to be canceled, resulting in the Chiefs getting the number 1 seed. I said to myself, that's it. That confirms it. We are cursed. We are cursed. We are cursed. What we have to do now is decide what we want to do with it. Do we want to sit and just watch the games and continue to be disappointed over and over and over again? And that's okay. Watch the games. My kids' high school football team, right? Williamsville East. They're never going to win the state championship, ever. They don't have what it takes. They don't have the student body. They can have good seasons, but they're never winning the state championship. Does that stop me from going to the games and enjoying them? No. I enjoy them. There's different levels of satisfaction that you can hold on to. Buffalo can win. Buffalo can win the division. Hey, we're division champs. That's okay. We can possibly win another conference championship. We've won 4 of them. Why not? That's good enough. Let's win a conference championship. Cool, man. Win a conference championship. We could beat the Chiefs next week. We could beat the Chiefs. What the heck? Why not? We could beat the Chiefs and then beat the Cowboys. Yahoo! That'd be great. But it's never going to mean anything. We could actually win our last 5 games of the season, get into the playoffs, and get all the way to the Super Bowl. We could. We're not winning it. Do you realize how good this football team is? Do you realize how good they were today? Let's go over the statistics, not that you guys haven't already. But Josh Allen, 29 of 51, not the greatest completion percentage, but good. 339 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had that interception. Josh Allen rushing, 9 rushes, 81 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's my fantasy quarterback. The dude blew up. I easily won my game this week because of him. The Bills were good on running the ball overall. I mean, James Cook struggled a little bit because they kept running that stupid run up the middle out of shotgun. 16 carries for 43 yards. That's less than 3 yards a carry, not great. Latavius Murray had some big runs. 9 carries for 30 yards. Ty Johnson, I like that kid. 6 carries for 19 yards. Gabe Davis, 105 yards receiving. Stephon Diggs, 74 yards receiving. The Bills should have won the game easily. Buffalo had 505 total yards on the road against the best team in the league. The Bills were outstanding on third down, 13 of 22, holding the Eagles.
We're not cursed.
Okay,
next time.
Okay, you're 9. Wait until you're 59, and you still haven't won a championship. So the Bills were 13 of 22 on third down. They were 1 of 1 on fourth down. Held the Eagles 4 of 11 on third down. If you showed me these statistics, that you showed me these stats without showing me the score, I would have said the Bills won this game 41-21. Time of possession, 40 minutes. Now, here's the big one. It's one of the things you guys are talking about. Penalties. Buffalo was penalized 11 times for 80 yards. The Eagles, 4 times for 30. I would say at least 4 of those penalties against Buffalo were questionable at the very most, or at the very least, I should say. Oh, is that Max? No. Well, comment in the section below because I want to get your take. Buffalo dominated this game. But there is one take that I have. I said I was going to tell you in 2 minutes. It's actually well beyond that. But before I get you to my take, who's El Cartel? Thoughts on Bandits, Mr. Krentz?
That has to be him.
Oh, yeah. The Bandits? Yeah. I mean, I guess that's all we can hang our hats on, that stinking lacrosse team here in Buffalo. I've been to one of those lacrosse games. I couldn't care less. You can't enjoy a game where the goalie looks like a character out of a stupid Disney movie. Max says the refs screwed us. Again, they were annoying at the very least. But again, the referees, I think, as bad as they were in making calls and missing calls for us, I think they also made up for it a little bit. That roughing the passer penalty on Josh Allen in overtime. I mean, I cannot believe we lost this game. The roughing the passer penalty on Josh Allen in overtime was, kind of annoying. Guy bumped into him and semi-pushed him. But, we got that call. Again, the referees made these really good calls on Jason Kelce against the Eagles, the center who barely flinched, and they caught it. So, the referees get a D overall, but in terms of how much it affected the Bills, I would say yes to a degree. But the Bills affected the Bills, really. You have James Cook dropping the touchdown pass. You had 2 penalties for false starts against Buffalo in the first half. But Buffalo pulled out of that funk, and they got going. And they made things happen. And they were winning this game 24-14. Now, here's my take. I think that ultimately the blame, why this Bills team with the great roster that they have is falling short, ultimately comes down to the head coach. I think in the key moments of games like this, Sean McDermott makes the wrong decisions at the wrong time. Some of the decisions are questionable, debatable, and others are just complete head scratchers. We can go back to the 13-second game. He won't take any blame for that. He says that people didn't execute and people made the wrong decisions. That one comes down on Sean McDermott. Don't want to rehash the 13-second game. But in this game here, like it or not, on that last play that Jalen Hurts scored the winning touchdown on, McDermott sent an all-out blitz from what I can tell. And I think McDermott made the wrong plays, and I think he had the defense playing the wrong strategy in the second half that allowed the Eagles to crawl back in it. Now, that's being really nitpicky about the defensive play calling in the second half. The Eagles made adjustments. The Bills made adjustments. I think overall, Sean McDermott has been a very good defensive coordinator. I think he's, for the most part, put the Bills in great positions to win with a patchwork of players because of what? Injuries. Once again, going back to the main point of this whole stream, the curse, missing Tre'Davious White, missing Matt Milano, missing Daquan Jones. Today we were missing Dane Jackson. We were also missing Tyler Rapp, missing Dawson Knox, which is debatable on whether or not he's really needed or not right now. But, I mean, start the season off. Before training camp even started, we lost Nyheim Hines to what? A jet ski accident. Mr. Krentz, bro, don't be disrespecting the league like that, bro. They look the same in hockey. Though the goalies. All right, maybe. So you're a lacrosse fan. Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad you're a lacrosse fan because you have a championship. What? Well, thank you, Mr. El Cartel. Mr. El Cartel sends $10 my way and says, tell Jacob he's a nerd. You got it, baby. And just for that, this is for you, El.
The Bills make me wanna shout. Kick your heels up and hands up and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, 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 yeah. Say you will. Shout it right now, baby. Say you will. Come on. Say you will. Come on and shout. Say you will. Yeah. Shout. Buffalo's happening now. Shout. We're on the move now. Shout. The Bills are happening now. Shout. They're making it happen now. Shout. We got the spirit. Shout. A lot of spirit, yeah. Shout. We got the spirit. Shout. Just watch it happen now. Hey, let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo.
I'm not going to show the eagle blowing up because they blew us up. Well, thank you, Mr. El Cartel. I'll tell Jake that he's a big nerd. He's right here. What do you say to that there, Jake? Come on in here and tell your friend what you think about him calling you a nerd.
At least he gave us $10. I'll take that.
We got your money. Appreciate it. I'll use that to shuttle Jake. Who's El Cartel to you?
His name is Alex.
Alex? Does he play some football?
No, he plays lacrosse.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That's why you like lacrosse. All right. Very good. Well, let's catch one of your games, buddy. So I appreciate it very much. That's awesome. Very, very much. I'll next time I see you, or if I see you at a lacrosse game and, you score a goal, I'm going to drop my pants and run out onto the field and give you a hug. What? going on here? Got another little, whoa, doggone, thank you very much. This makes it so worthwhile to actually do these stupid things because I can tell my wife upstairs that I spent 5 hours downstairs on a live stream and actually made a little money. So thank you. Thank you. I got one, something came in from somebody else. I missed it. I'm going to catch it when it pops up here on the chat. So, yeah.
So
I mean, like,
it does not matter how good we play.
listen,
We never will.
I know you guys don't want to like hear anything but Bill's talk and Bill's analysis and breaking down the game but listen, it's okay. It's okay. Buffalo is cursed. And if you want me to rattle some off real quick, I will. From the time that I started watching the Bills playing football, Dan Fouts hit some dude over the middle with a minute and a half left in a playoff game against the Bills to win 20-14. Broke my heart. It was devastating. Then after that, you have Ronnie Harmon dropping what would have been a winning touchdown in Cleveland. We ended up losing that one. Then you have, beyond that, obviously the Super Bowls. We had the wide right. The other Super Bowls we never really were in, so it wasn't really that much of a crusher except for the fact that we lost the Super Bowl, and that sucked. Then we had the Bills down to the goal line against the Dolphins in a playoff game, about to tie it up, and then Doug Flutie got sacked and fumbled. We lost that one. Then we have the game against the Titans where we're winning. It was, what was it? It was 15-13 or something. And then, you know, Steve Christie hits a field goal to take the lead. And then the ensuing kickoff, they run what's called now the Music City Miracle. And he goes out, they go all the way for a touchdown and they win it. This is just off the top of my head, people. There are so many more. But then you have the 16-point lead we had against the Texans and Josh Allen's, what was this, his rookie season? No, it's his second season. We had a 16-0 lead in the second half against the Texans, and then they come back and tie it, and they win it in overtime. Then you have the 13-second game, of course, that we all remember. That was brutal. Then you have pretty much, I mean, tonight, I guess you could call tonight a game where we lost in overtime. We also had, oh, man, you know, I can't even begin to say all the things. That's just the Bills, right? I mean, that's just the Bills. Then you have the Sabres, where the Sabres went to 2 Stanley Cups and lost them both. You have what was probably the best hockey team ever in Sabres history that went to Game 7 against the Carolina Panthers, where they lost 6 starters in a matter of 3 weeks. 4 of them starting defensemen. We lost our top 4 defensemen to injuries, or 3 of the top 4 defensemen to injuries. One of them was lost because he got a staph infection in his leg the day of Game 7 against the Carolina Hurricanes. And I might have said Panthers before. And we lost that game in Game 7. We lost a 3-2 game lead against Pittsburgh. They scored late in the third period to tie it and win in overtime in Game 6. And they tied it late in regulation and won it in overtime in Game 7. We had a game against the Philadelphia Flyers where we had the lead in the playoffs, in a playoff game, a pivotal playoff game if I remember. And they had a shot go through the outside of the net. The referee didn't see it. It was called a goal. It was obvious on the replay that it went in the goal on the outside of the net, and they still called it a goal. The Flyers beat us that game 2-1. I am just getting started. It goes on and 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 on. It just doesn't stop. And so I realize it's not going to stop. The Buffalo Bills, the Buffalo Sabres, the city of Buffalo is cursed. And that was what this channel was all about. Now, last year was about we were definitely winning the Super Bowl. Then when, like I said, DeMar Hamlin had a heart attack on the field in the biggest game of the year, and the game was canceled, and we ended up losing the number 1 seed because of it. At that time, I realized we are cursed. We're cursed. So we go into this season, and I just kind of like shrugged my shoulders, like, okay, let's see what we got. Well, we're 6-6, and what was the biggest game of the year up to this point? The Bills had a 24-14 lead, and now nothing weird happened. It wasn't like there was a crazy bounce or a referee made a terrible, terrible call or anything like that. But the Bills had a 24-14 lead. If you're like me, you knew we were winning this game, even with all the stuff that I know that's going to happen. And we lost again. We lost again. So let's just have 5 minutes of football talk about the Buffalo Bills. Let's have a little chat about the Buffalo Bills. At 6-6, it's not over. They could go on a 5-game winning streak. They have got the team. They have the team. As long as we don't get any more injuries. I don't know. Josh Allen didn't get injured. That's something. He will, though, if they make the playoffs. He will. If the Bills make the playoffs, let's just say the last game of the season, they win and they make the playoffs. Josh Allen in that last game, on the last play, before the end of the game, Josh Allen will get hurt and we'll lose him for the playoffs and whatever. You draw up your own scenario, your own cursed scenario, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But with that said, the Bills are 6-6. They can beat the Chiefs. They can beat the Cowboys. There's no doubt about it. This team can be 8-6 after the next 2 games. And if they're 8-6 going into play, I think the Chargers, they can beat the Chargers. They could be 9-6. They can definitely beat the Patriots at home, 10-6. And then they go and play Miami, who's going to win the division now. And maybe Miami will have it wrapped up by then. And maybe we're playing a backup Miami squad and we go 11-6. It all can happen. Definitely can happen. And we make the playoffs, and then we can get hot in the playoffs. It's still there. It's still there for us. But what's also still there is, like I said, the curse. Something will happen. Something will happen. And this team will end up losing a game like this. Anyway. Amazing performance by the Bills tonight. Amazing performance. Just to drive it home one more time. 500 yards total offense. 13 of 22 on third down. 40 minutes time of possession. Took the ball away from the Eagles twice. And they still lost. And they still lost. Get a few takes on what you guys are saying before I jet out of here. Wowza says, I think Allen's confidence is declining. I mean, how can you not when you play that good and you still can't win? DeLimo said, not happening. Don't want them in the playoffs with our head coach. Okay, so you're saying, well, you don't want them to go on a 5-game winning streak and make the playoffs. I kind of can see that, honestly. Let's just have the season fall apart right here, right now, starting with tonight, and get it over with. McDermott play calls baffle you. I said just moments ago that I think the problem overall is, and as people are starting to see this, McDermott was good enough to get us into the playoffs, to get us relevant, but he has this roster that shouldn't be 6-6. And it's not just Ken Dorsey, although that's another discussion. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Ken Dorsey was the problem. Ken Dorsey was definitely the problem on the offensive side of the ball. 500 yards total offense, 34 points. What? It's right in front of me. 34 points. So Ken Dorsey was the problem. Had we not had Ken Dorsey for some reason over the first 10 games of the season, we do not lose to the Patriots. We do not lose to the Broncos. We do not probably lose to the Bengals, I would say. In fact, this would be a totally different team in a totally different position had the Bills not been with Ken Dorsey at this point. But what can you do about it, right? What can you do about it? So back to McDermott and his decisions. When they kneeled the ball at the end of regulation, it showed the coaches have no confidence. The players will have a problem with that in the locker room. I'm not sure about that one. The fact that there was 20 seconds to go before halftime. What did the Eagles do? They got down there and they kicked a field goal. Is that right? Or we stopped? What was the deal? Because it was 17-7 at halftime. Something happened. We stopped them or something. I can't remember. But us kneeling down with 20 seconds to go was not a big deal for me. I didn't want to see the Bills turn the ball over. However, I know what you're saying, right? 20 seconds and a timeout. We saw it against Detroit on Thanksgiving, 2 seasons ago. Just throw that ball downfield. Or was it? No, it was last season. Throw the ball downfield, right? Who knows what can happen? Don't think the worst is going to happen. And that's kind of how the coaches, I think that's the coaching mindset when these games get close. They coach scared. They coached really scared against the Chiefs in that 13-second game at the end of regulation. They coached really scared, and it just gave them 2 free plays to get into field goal range, which, by the way, that was our Super Bowl year. Anyway, yeah. And with the Ken Dorsey comment that I had, absolutely we would have beaten the Jets in week 1. It's like in that game, it just seemed like the coaching staff, Sean McDermott and Ken Dorsey, said, let's just play it easy, play it safe, and we'll get out of here with a win because Aaron Rodgers is out. Instead of saying, hey, we got these guys now, let's crush them. And you could see the difference between that game and the game that the Bills won here at home. Yes, it was at home, but 32-6, as opposed to losing, we lost 19-16 or something like that. So, Wowza says this team has built a culture of trying not to lose. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. It's like they are scared to make plays. They're scared to get aggressive in big plays. They kind of scale it back, right? And you think a head coaching change is in order. I mean, I would. And for those of us old enough to remember the Buffalo Bills Super Bowl years, a lot of people love Marv Levy. I really loved Marv Levy, but I was his biggest critic. I am confident that with the team that the Bills had in the 90s, early 90s, Jim Kelly, Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas, Bruce Smith, Cornelius Bennett, James Lofton, Keith McKellar, an outstanding offensive line, Howard Ballard, Kent Hall, Jim Richer, Nate Odoms at the corner. That team really should have won 4 Super Bowls in a row. The difference to me was the fact they had a coach that could get them there, but couldn't get them over the hump, couldn't win it all. And I think that's what we have here with Sean McDermott. I think he's good enough to get this team in position to have success, but then when it comes to those critical moments in a game, McDermott kind of loses sight on what got him there, and he scales back and kind of plays scared. That's my opinion. And I think there's plenty of evidence of that, specifically the 13-second game is, that's glaring. The end of that game in regulation was glaring. Like, what were they doing? Now, I know that Leslie Frazier was the defensive coordinator, but I got to think that Sean McDermott had his take on what type of defense to trot out on that field in that game that Josh Allen won with that touchdown pass to Gabe Davis with 13 seconds to go. I got to think that Sean McDermott was afraid that Tyreek Hill would take another little short pass and go all the way for a touchdown, and so he played scared, and he dropped the guys way too far back for a Chiefs team that had 3 timeouts, 13 seconds, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Anyway, we could rehash that whole thing. The whole point of my little rant here, which is coming to an end, is the fact that this team, this city, and it's okay. It's kind of funny. It's kind of fun if you just allow it to settle in. We're cursed. We're cursed. It's either something crazy is going to happen and the Bills will get beat with a bad penalty call or a crazy fumble or a wild play, something just out of the ordinary, or if none of that happens, we're going to do it to ourselves. We're going to, again, trot out a stupid defense at the end of regulation with a 3-point lead against a team like the Chiefs. Or maybe tonight could be considered one of those games where the coaching staff, players, Gabe Davis going the wrong way on that route, right? The game's over. When I saw that ball in the air, I was like, he's got his man beat. We got this thing. And then I saw, it's not going to the corner. It's going to the post. And I'm like, what happened there? Gabe Davis went the wrong way. It's unexplainable. These guys run that route probably a million times. Why was it that one time Gabe Davis went the wrong way? Why? Because of the curse. That's why, people. Because of the curse. Buffalo will never win a Super Bowl. And I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. All right, well, that's it for me. I hope you guys can have a decent night. Try to get some sleep. Don't let nightmares of Gabe Davis running the wrong route ruin your sleep. And, sun will come up tomorrow. And it's on to our bye week and then Kansas City. On to our bye week and then Kansas City. Thanks, Wowza. Thanks, Stelimo. Thank you, El Cartel, if you're still here. Really appreciate it, everyone. As for me and this little channel, I said if the Bills won tonight and if the Bills beat the Chiefs, I was going to pop off a video every day until the end of the season. Now, I'll pop in now and then to say hi. Good night.